Hey guys, welcome to Channel Madness, and today I'll be doing a review look at Ferris Manus, the model you can buy from Forge World. So without further ado, I'm going to jump straight in. So Ferris Manus, the Master of the Iron Hands, the Gorgon, the Worm Slayer, and the Bane of Asnorth, the Great Iron Father, and the Great Iron Father. I believe the Bane of Asnorth, Isnorth, or however you pronounce it, is obviously the name of the worm that he slayed on his home planet, which I've forgotten what it's called. It's fine. I'll be going over the rules that's currently found in the Legion Stays Age of Darkness Legion book. So if obviously the rules change or updated, and as of this video, I'm not aware, but that's entirely fine. So you can pick the model itself up on Forge World for 160 bucks, and I do believe that includes shipping, which is obviously quite weighty and pricey, especially if you want to get the second part of the model, Pilgrim, because the two go together as sort of a symbiote sort of diorama display, depicting the battle in Isstvan 5, obviously with tragic ends as it happens. It is interesting to note that the model, obviously, because it's obviously designed to be played out, obviously just outside, not just within Isstvan. But during the Battle of Isstvan, he started the fight with obviously a reforged firebrand of the sword that he made for his brother. And I do believe he picks up the hammer at some point. And if you see the artwork for Pilgrim, the novel, you can see obviously the full artwork novel has him obviously him and Pilgrim floating up on the rock as their Legion sons go at each other. I'm not particularly a fan of this artwork because Ferris Manus does look a little bit odd with his a sort of giant canister on his back, and he's basically wielding just a giant wrench, which just seems out of place. It seems a little bit odd. Never did like that artwork. But yeah. So obviously it has for him with his arms bare, his legendary obviously silver, liquid silver arms, which was a very tricky thing for me to paint. But I did think I got it down quite well on my one. I'm not sure if I can replicate it again because it's been a while. And I do believe his hammer is fabulous looking, Forge Breaker. It is interesting that it's been made. It was created by Pilgrim. Obviously, I would expect him to create a sword, but this hammer is very beautiful. And then we get his the Medusan carapace. Oh, that's right, they came from Medusa. Yeah, so obviously, which is basically like a little sort of mechanicus sort of engineered. A whole bunch of sort of arms on his back, which you can see. He's got a whole bunch of little tools and things to help him out with his forging process. It is to note that he doesn't forge like most normal people. He just forges with his hands, not needing heat. He just sort of obviously his hands can sort of just warp metal and heat it in its own way. Which some people some have always found problem with that. Vulcan being one, not trusting anything that hasn't obviously been bent by a hammer or put to an anvil. So yeah. So we'll go over the rules. So he's 455 points, which is a nice sort of. That's probably like the average that you get for most of the Primarch models. He's weapon skill 7, ballistic skill 6, strength 7, toughness 7, weapon 6 wounds, initiative 5, attacks 4, leadership 10, and he's a 2+ save like most Primarchs. If you remember the review of Pilgrim, who was mostly a stat line of 6, so he's got a little bit. He's got better strength and better toughness, same sort of wounds though, but he's a bit low on the weapon skill. Pilgrim bring weapon skill 8. So here's the Primarch special rule, which just gives him a whole bunch of sub rules: independent character, master of the Legion, eternal warrior, fear, adamantium will, fleet, fearless, it will not die, precision strike, and precision shot. He is the sire of the Iron Hands, which is one of the most physically powerful of the Primarchs, whose skill as an artificer of arms and armor, or every bit as potent as his martial prowess. Ferris Manus despises weakness, and by his presence on the battlefield, the Primarch drove his men to acts of superhuman endurance and remorselessness fever. Ferris Manus has the Relentless and Smash special rule, the latter of which may be used in conjunction with any of his close combat weapons or attacks. and shooting attacks against him suffer a -1 penalty to the strength. That's just a standard rule for the Iron Hands. If you take them as a legion, they get any shots at them just get -1 strength, which I think is nice. All models with Legion Astartes Iron Hands special rule in their armor and it has an armor that contains Ferris Manus gain the Feel No Pain 6+ special rule, unless they already possess it, or possess a superior version of this rule. So that's really nice that if you take obviously Ferris Manus with your Iron Hands, not only do they sort of can survive shots a little bit better, but now they can also sort of just survive better in general. And the fact that he has Relentless and Smash is just a really nice sort of combination there. And like if he really needs to go ahead and break his way through a Land Raider or I don't know, a Titan's Foot or something. I don't think he gets through a Titan's Foot, but who knows. He is a special rule of the Master of It's not Mechanicus, Mechanisms. Master of Mechanisms. Ferris Manus is a master artificer and possesses the Battlesmith special rule and passes his repair roll on a 3+. In addition, in a primary detachment that contains Ferris Manus, all vehicles with at least one armor value of 13 or more gain. So in addition, all vehicles with at least one armor value of 13 or more gain It Will Not Die special rule. So he basically can repair. You can use him basically, as a standard repair priest and keep things alive, which is nice. And it's done on a 3+, which is also nice. And basically, any vehicle with at least one sort of facing 13 or more, it gets that It Will Not Die special rule. So you can, your vehicles are a little bit tougher. So that's also nice. Another special rule is obviously he's very bulky. As you can imagine, he's one of the larger of the Primarchs, so that's obviously what he is. Here's the war gear, the Medusan's Carapace. So the Ferris Manus operates a wide variety of arms and armor, almost all of which were the product of his craft and genius. Never fully satisfied with his own work, he's always looking to improve upon it and test new prototype designs. The fruits of his labor later forming the basis of many Legion Astartes designs, such as the Carapace pattern Terminator armor. The Medusa's Carapace is an example of these designs, incorporating servo mechanisms and a plethora of systems. It provides a 2+ armor save and a 3+ invulnerability save, and incorporates Nucoro Vox. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. And a servo arm. It also allows Ferris Manus to fire 2 weapons from the following list at the same target in the controlling player's shooting phase. So basically, what there was so it provides him with a 2+ armor save and a 3+ invulnerability save, which is nice. If you do know that Pilgrim only gets a 3+ invulnerability save in combat, otherwise he gets I believe it was 5 or 4+ outside. It also incorporates Nucoro Fox. Nucoro. I don't know how to pronounce that. Don't blame me. And a servo arm, which is I do remember like you can get like a free attack at like strength 8 or something. So of the weapons he can shoot from, he can choose to shoot 2 of the following. It's obviously the same target: plasma blaster, a graviton gun. Grenade harness. It has unlimited use, because most times when you have a grenade harness, it's obviously limited, or a heavy flamer. So those are actually powerful weapons. They're not like the little base versions. A plasma blaster, a graviton gun, a grenade harness, or a heavy flamer. They're all actually quite beefy. And that's what he gets from his armor. So now his last piece of war gear that he has is Forge Breaker, fashioned by his close comrade Fulgrim. And the latter hated enemy, obviously, the Primarch Fulgrim. This exquisitely fashioned Thunderhammer would prove to have a dark infamy all on its own and serve the hand of many masters before the Horus Heresy would end. So, Forge Breaker is obviously range 0, strength ×2, so obviously strength 7, so strength 14, or obviously 10 if it's the max, depending on obviously the rules that you're playing with. AP 1, melee, concussive, and strike down. And so special rule here is also an additional rule. So the death of Ferris Manus. If you're fighting a battle or a campaign closely following the narrative of the Horus Heresy, such as the Blood of the Primarch's mission, Ferris Manus is no longer in position of Forge Breaker, and so he has a points reduced to 415. So this is basically After obviously in the book, obviously after Pilgrim tries to bring him in and they have the first sort of scuffle, Pilgrim takes the hammer away from him and obviously leaves Ferris Manus with basically a broken firebrand. So they've represented that here by basically taking the obviously Forge Break away with him for a points reduction. It would be nice if they obviously gave him, you know, something else as a replacement. Obviously, he just loses that, so because he doesn't, you know, what else would he use? Because he did have a plethora of weapons equal to, you know, the making of, you know, Firebrand. So it would have been nice to see them implement, obviously, a change. And obviously, Forgebreaker goes off to be again used by other masters, and like, you know, Perturabo wields a version of it that's a little bit obviously updated by his own sort of tinkering, which is also nice. There isn't too much that we get in the rules wise for Ferris Manus. That could be due to the fact that he did have a short sort of reign in the Heresy saga, obviously being the first casualty prime monk that we get. But I did fall in love with, I think I have a thing for the martyrs, Sanguinius and Ferris Manus. So the fact that when he was the first prime monk to fall, I you know, he turned out to be one of my favorites. So I was like, oh yeah. And I think the Legion as a whole is very strong Legion to have rules wise. Obviously, with the basically able to repair or to stay alive, and obviously take reduced damage and whatnot. I'm not sure about the other sort of models. It would have been seen in the rulebook here. They don't really have much special characters or anything like that. That seem to be of interest of note, not least what I read of. But the model itself, I do like it. For some reason, I like his head. Like the way his head is designed, it just seems so very natural, like a stock standard guys. Like a lot of the times, you know, if you look at my Horus, you know, he's bareheaded. Like a Pilgrim, he obviously has this lusciously long green hair, but this just has like a solid, you know, just clean shaven black hair. I'm like, oh yeah, that's good. And yeah, so that's basically my review of Ferris Manus. It is a two-part model. Obviously, he goes with his brother Pilgrim in the Battle of the End. But if you guys enjoyed that, please remember to like and subscribe and leave a comment if you want me to discuss anything else in the future models. And yeah, so I'll see you guys next time. Cheers for watching.